And we are live. What is up, everybody? This is Nick from P2W Fantasy on the first Tuesday following the NFL draft here with two awesome guests on the show. Going to dive into some awards today, quote unquote awards, following the NFL draft. I'll be sure to introduce both of these guys in a second here. I do want to first say that this show is sponsored by and partnered by the Fantasy Points Media Group. FantasyPoints.com. Definitely check it out. Everything that I do now for content, I go to fantasypoints.com, whether it's an article, a podcast, whatever the case is. If I'm looking at statistics or articles or red zone things, I mean, everything in one spot when it comes to fantasy points. So definitely check out fantasypoints.com. You can use promo code 21win10 for a discount there, and it's definitely well worth it. All right, and we got some comments coming in already. John McGlynn, love this crew. All right. So before we get going with the show today, I do want to make sure I introduce both of these guests. Been very excited about this show, and I will start with Fantasy Couch on the bottom here. So Fantasy Couch, you have the website, which is awesome. I was checking that out more in depth earlier. DFS, you have draft kits on there, rankings, dynasty, videos, and podcasts. You even have a store up in there. YouTube, got a ton of subscribers on YouTube, 35.2 thousand subs there. And you're talking best ball. You have some mock draft tips. You even go into some beginners advice, which I think is very crucial for people that put out content, because not everybody who consumes content is a fantasy analyst or dives into this stuff like we do. So definitely have a lot going on. Can you let everybody know where we can find you on any sort of social media? And what do you got going on during this time?
Yeah, everything's Fantasy Couch. I've failed on YouTube for like 7 years, and then I started filming drafts and doing like Hack My Lineup, where I hack people's fantasy accounts and other stuff. And then I've seen a little bit of success. And then the strategy videos, of course. So, what's that called, right? Insanity. But it ended up working out in the end. So yeah, check me out. I got everything, even a TikTok now. I finally caved in. So
nice.
Just peep me on Fantasy Couch, all the social medias. If you hate me, feel free to leave. Costs you nothing.
There you go. And again, I agree with saying you got pretty much a ton of everything. And it's interesting to hear that you're diving into TikTok, because our other guests, I think, might be verified there soon. Might have to talk about that, a little bit. But
yeah,
no, I'm just saying, no, the content is just so good when it comes to TikTok. But Cooter Doodle, the bio reads, a lady in the streets but cocky in the tweets. You have the petite pods going on. You've had guests like Andy Holloway on and some other members of the fantasy community. I think that has been awesome, and I always get a kick out of those. I mentioned TikTok Gold. All the TikToks you drop on Twitter or on TikTok are awesome. WeInThisTogether.com, if you want to talk about that. You have that going on for charity, which is awesome. And yeah, you drop some random videos talking about fantasy, but then they're of you doing some controversial things at times. You have articles as well relating, drafting, the starburst, and other creative ways of speaking about fantasy. So Cooter Doodle, I've been waiting to get you on the show for a while. Happy you are here. Can you tell everybody where to find you and what you got going on?
Yeah. So we have a few big names coming to Petite Pod soon. So follow me on YouTube. You can subscribe there. And Twitter, Cooter Doodle. I mean, it's kind of TikTok, I guess. That's really just where I go to edit and make silly things. But if you want to be annoyed by even more of me, you can go there too, I guess.
All right. Well, I have both Cooter Doodle and Fantasy Couch on the show today to talk about the NFL draft. But instead of just breaking down pick by pick, I figured we do an award show, and I put awards in quotations because not all the awards are good. But we'll be talking about some of the awards following the NFL draft here in a second.
Play to win, no fear to give. I feel but I can't forgive. I go all in this time, yeah, I won't regret. I'll pick the best on trip, they don't understand. I play to win, yeah, I play to win. I play to win, yeah, play to win. I play to win, oh, play to win. I play to win, yeah, play to win. I play to win.
All right. So again, we are talking the NFL draft, and we have an award show today. Before we talk about any of that, I'm just curious. We'll start with Cooter and then go down to Fantasy Couch. How did you spend the draft? Some people are on podcasts the entire 3 days. Some people are with family. Some people go to the same spot. How'd you guys actually spend the draft days?
I actually kind of checked out of Twitter more than usual. We're vaccinated, so we went hang out with friends, kind of back to the old school stuff of just grabbing a beer, watching football, So we just watched the draft and kind of watched people every now and then spiral on Twitter when things didn't go their way,
That's always fun. That's always fun. Fantasy Couch, how about you, man?
I never do anything exciting, but no, I didn't really do anything, but this draft was super epic for me. So like 30 minutes before the draft started, all of a sudden, I haven't ate that whole day either. It's like sometimes I just get busy and don't eat till later. All of a sudden, like I feel like throwing up.
Oh no.
And then I'm like, oh man, I'm sick. I'm like, I'm like, this can't be because of Mac Jones. I'm not like, it's not like, it's not because of Mac Jones. And then I'm like 15 minutes, I'm like, oh God, it is because of Mac Jones. Cause it's like all this built up. And I'm telling everyone, like, I'm not saying we're like the Niner. I'm a Niner fan. We're not drafting Mac Jones. I'm saying like, don't trust anybody. It could be Mac Jones. It could be Fields. It could be Trey Lance. I think it's Fields. But man, once it started coming down to the wire, just like a Super Bowl game or like your first NFL, I started getting all anxious and man, I was so close to throwing up. And then when they called Trey Lance, I got my shirt off. I'm all sweaty. I'm like, oh my God. Thank God it's not Mac Jones. I'm all relieved. And then like after that, I mean, I could barely like concentrate and get on. I was on Twitter and everything, but I was like only half there. I was high off the Trey Lance pick for like a good 3-4 days.
That is awesome. And I actually can relate a lot to that because I was asked to be on a show or two, and my dad, like on Easter, was like, hey, like the draft's coming up. I'd love to watch it with you and your brother. And I'm like, all right, fine. So we went out to the just a local bar, got a table and was watching. But I'm a Bears fan. So
more excitement even.
Yes,
but, a Niner fan.
But I had the same feelings as you because the minute the Bears traded up in the draft, I was like, oh my God, Justin Fields is still, on the board right now. But then I had these Mitch Trubisky flashbacks of trading up and taking the wrong guy. So all I was picturing for a split second there was Mac Jones. And I was like, geez, they're gonna fucking trade up and take Mac Jones here. And then as soon as the name Justin Fields was popped up, I was the same way. I mean, I'm still to this day posting like all these pictures that, other people have made. And that night probably celebrated way too hard and felt it, the next day or so. But yeah, same sort of thing. I had that Mac fear that I think you kind of alluded to there.
And see, I think that's my favorite thing about the whole, I'm not big into college, right? So watching the draft is pretty new for me. I've watched it with my husband before. We just go to a restaurant. But being invested in like the team narratives and the fan, like just like you just said, not knowing what's going to happen and they've done it before and done the wrong thing. And like, that's what I get excited about. Not even like necessarily the pick, but the whole story of the franchise and the fans behind it. I just think it's fascinating. Like that's the fun stuff, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially when you're on the edge of your seat until a name's called. And the bad thing too, the place we were at, they had like music playing. So all we can do is look at the mouth of like them saying the names. So we're like looking close at the TV and everything. But yeah, that was awesome. When it comes to the draft, so we don't have to get super deep into this, but I'm just curious to hear your maybe brief thoughts. Is the landing spot generally a massive impact for you guys when it comes to maybe just weighing out how we view these guys in fantasy and in football in general? I mean, we see some people that stick to their guys no matter where these guys go. That's my guy. I'm rolling with them. And then on the flip side, we saw last year, like CEH went to the Chiefs and then he bumped up to the 101 of fantasy drafts. I mean, what's your guys' thoughts on that? And we can just go maybe reverse order here with the Fantasy Couch to start.
Landing spot makes zero difference. It's talent over everything. Just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not with you. You could have said I'm passing on this question. I would have been nodding the whole time. Right?
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, everyone has different opinions. I mean, it obviously matters. It's obviously significant. And I think you got to weigh that factor case by case. We saw with Josh Jacobs. I don't know how you guys felt about Josh Jacobs, but everyone I've talked to, I'm sure there's different opinions. They didn't really like him as a prospect, but he went good O-line. He was used. He looked decent. Then we see the O-line deteriorate a little bit and the Raiders starting to kind of unravel now. And then, they get Drake, of course. So, I mean, of course, it does matter. Talent is very important, though, because talent ultimately could win. Terrell Davis with the Broncos. I mean, we see it all the time. So I think it's case by case, and obviously it is a big factor.
Yeah, I agree with Fantasy Couch. I mean, I think it's not just black or white. And my example to that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, they were like 5-11, 7-9, and then people would have been down on them and said they don't want someone to go there, right? But then look what they did. They turned it around in 1 year. Granted, they made a lot of moves. They got in good talent and people that worked well together. But I'm kind of in the camp of a team might be one of those ones where it has this narrative, but there's so many changes with like coaching and everything that it just can flip in a year. It really can flip. So
yeah,
I'd rather go with the talented player than the landing spot if I had to pick one.
Yeah, I agree with that. Even last year with, I brought up Clyde Edwards-Helaire coming up. I was a huge Swift guy. Swift didn't go to the Chiefs where maybe he should have went, but I still was, going into my rookie drafts knowing even though CEH has the best landing spot, on paper before the year started, I'm still going to be a Swift guy. Even though Taylor, went to the Colts and was behind Max, some people still were like, yeah, Taylor's still my guy. Whereas you had the flip side of people saying, no, there's no way I'm not taking, CEH if I am the 101. I think positionally it kind of matters at times too. If a wide receiver is going somewhere that has some other guys, there's still some good upside for them if it's a good passing offense versus a running back where if he's buried in the depth chart, maybe you still have that kind of hesitation. But did have Angie popping in the chat. What's up, Angie?
Hey, Angie.
Awesome. All right, so what we got going on, we have awards. I figure we give out some awards for different topics here based off of the draft. I thought that'd be fun and interesting here. And what I'm going to ask you guys is for the award, who wins this award and what's your reasoning behind it? I'm sure we can go in a bunch of different routes here. Curious to hear your thoughts. So the first award on the slate here is going to be the Steal of the Draft Award. So this will be a player drafted in a spot that dropped a bit. So maybe this player slipped off in the draft further than we all thought they would, and a team actually got a steal from grabbing this player. And we'll start with Cooter on this one. What's your thoughts on the Steal of the Draft Award?
For me, we already talked about it. I mean, I think it was Fields all the way. I think when you think of steal, I think they paid for it to trade up, but at the same time, anyone who was going to take him was going to have a win with it. So I think it was worth what they paid. And if you would have gone a month ago, I don't think people would have seen him dropping that far.
Yeah, Justin Fields out of the top 10. Like it's money. It's like time to trade. That's what they're like. Hey, we got to trade up. Like he's out at the top 10. Come on.
Yeah. And with Fields, I don't know if you guys came out with rankings that you stuck by before the draft, pre-draft rankings, but for me, I actually thought personally, and I'm not just saying this because he went to my team, but I thought Fields, and I put like $5 on it to win like 80, but I didn't win. But I thought Fields should have went to the Jets at number 2, and seeing that he went as not the second or the third,
right?
He went all the way to the Bears, who weren't super far. But Fantasy Couch, maybe your thoughts on Cooter's answer, and then we can go into yours about Justin Fields falling, because a lot of people during that time were tweeting and saying, I cannot believe this guy's still on the board. The Broncos passed on him for a cornerback, not a quarterback. So, yeah, what's your thoughts there?
Well, that's a lot. Well, the Broncos, there's a conspiracy that there's some kind of like this weird blood oath contract between them and Rodgers going on behind the scenes right now. That's just some conspiracy I just made up right now, and it's only like 1% chance gonna happen. But I mean, hey, if he goes to that team, that's a top 3 team.
What percent chance do you think that is? I'm curious because I feel like that's the only thing I'm hearing lately. I hear a lot of Rodgers.
It's small, but like you got to take your shots, right? So it's like maybe. I don't know. I'd say 10%.
I mean, it is suspicious that they didn't take I mean, I don't know. I like that kind of stuff, but I agree with you, Couch. I mean, that's a little suspicious, right? They could have gotten something
They
else.
they said that they liked Fields, but they're like, we just like certain, a bit more. And people are like, so you want to build, a franchise around your cornerback?
Hmm.
Got bootleg fantasy. How long before the wall behind Nick is only Fields jerseys? I got to put in the order. I do.
Yeah, it's all 8 Fields jerseys.
Yeah.
Just going to be
quantity. Change the quantity to 8. Ship
Yeah.
1 day shipping. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, these take a while. They're from China, so I mean, they're like $20, so it takes a while.
What are we talking about? Oh yeah,
Fields, and then your pick. Fields, and then your pick.
With the Rodgers, the only way that like that does kind of make sense is like because I think we all know if they get Rodgers, they could be the best NFL team because they got all the weapons that Lott couldn't throw to. Their defense is a on paper it's okay, but as a group, they're really special. With that coach, like they can really do some things. And then the Packers are like always a few inches away from the Super Bowl. They don't even have a defense.
Mm-hmm.
They got that cornerback. I'm terrible with names. I think it's Kevin King. I mean, that's the guy who's playing. Like that guy's playing for the team. No team going to Super Bowl should have that guy playing and defending people. Like it's that bad. But yeah, my answer to the award, is this an award? Are we doing it? Yeah, it's an award.
Yeah.
So it's kind of 2.0 to what Cooter was saying. This was actually, out of all the awards you gave us, this was the toughest one. Such a great draft class. So many steals, like incredible steals all over the place. So this is really going off what Cooter was saying. I could have said Fields, but I'm going like a little bit deeper. And it's the Bears, second round, early, Tevin Jenkins. Because you go do Fields, which was amazing. And then you're like, let's do it. You can't knock out everything on your checklist on draft day, right? You're gonna everything's not gonna go perfect. So it's like the Bears need other players, probably a couple players on defense, maybe O-line, maybe receiver, sure. But it's like, let's go get this amazing offensive tackle for Fields. Let's do it again. One more time. They double down, and then they double down again. And so that's my steal of the draft.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want a Joe Burrow situation, right? You got to keep
learn from them. Exactly what I learned from that.
That is a good way to supplement that. And we have a comment, Glorious Beard Bro from RF Fantasy.
It is nice. I was going to say that whenever you hopped in here first, but I was like, well, we never met yet. Maybe he gets tired of the beer compliments, but man, it's nice.
Oh no, just only like weird comments. Like that's all. Like people go, hey, why is everyone growing a beard nowadays? So that's why I like the internet, because I just like scroll up.
I mean, you can just be like,
I need to answer that.
I got the patchy, like Italian look going on, where the stash grows way faster than anything else. So I mean, I'm a little jealous, to be honest.
There's always a way to make it. Like, look, you're a Bears fan, right? There's always a path. The path is actually never how we think it. You always think in your mind, this is the path to success. This is the path to Bear. This is the path to having awesome facial hair. Sometimes you got to go like this, but there's always a good finish. Anyone can have a good grooming thing. I don't know, whatever. Everyone can make it their own way. Like there's always a way for you to make it work. There's always.
I feel like we need to put that on one of those like cloud pictures, those inspirational quotes, and just
sunshine
have that full.
Sunshine. I'll hang that up in my kitchen. Etsy. I'll sell it on Etsy.
There you go.
I don't want to make this like a Bears podcast, but I do have to ask. So, with Fields being somebody that for months we've thought was going to go so early, like, can you imagine they didn't even have a plan for that? Like they had to have expected that to be gone. At least top 7, right?
Yeah, they probably had to delete that Andy Dalton tweet. They really believe that tweet. That tweet was for real. Like they were serious about it.
And then they had the hype videos of him like walking in the locker room. They're playing the cool music that he, never listened to in his life and stuff. But no, yeah, I don't know if they maybe thought there was a shot at like Mac Jones. Maybe they thought Trey Lance would fall. I don't think that they thought Fields would be there at the spot they took him. But
man, he fell so much. Like that's
Yeah, it's strange to me. I wrote down just 2 guys. I won't go too deep to them. One's a non-fantasy guy unless you play IDP, but Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah from Notre Dame. He was supposed to be like the second best linebacker in this class. He ended up going to the Browns. 6 total linebackers, either inside or outside, went before him. So I thought he was – go ahead.
he had health concerns that just came out today.
Yeah, I
Just came
saw
out
that.
today. I didn't see that at all. What
It
is
was a
that?
small. I honestly I don't remember the health
Okay,
exact,
that's
but
interesting.
that's why he was my that was my answer because I was like, why is this
Okay.
guy? There's health
John in the
concerns.
chat. John in the chat said heart issue rumor.
Yeah,
So I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah.
I
Heart.
don't know if it's big deal. I'm not sure. You're not gonna act like I do, but it was enough for him to fall though.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know that, so it must have been something because a lot of the times you wonder like why. And there's a guy we'll talk about later who also kind of fell, and there may have been some other issues with that. Another guy brought up, and I'm not sure if you guys are high on this guy or not, but Terrace Marshall Jr. For some people, he was like a top 5 wide receiver in this class. Some people, he was a top 7. He had 9 wide receivers go before him. He had Eskridge and Tutu Atwell go before him in the draft. So I thought Terrace Marshall was a guy that kind of dropped off a bit and might end up being a guy, even with Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore, that might get some involvement now that Curtis is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I think the reason, and I was kind of suspecting this might happen, is because you got so many wide receivers. I think teams are like getting picky. They're like, look at this con, look at that con. But I mean, if that guy came out like in a weak wide receiver draft, you'd be like, wow, this guy's got lots of potential. He's big. We can use him here. Now it's like, I'll get a wide receiver later. I'll do this, or I'll do this weird thing and take this wide receiver. So teams got too picky and let that guy fall.
Some people say that some teams try to get cute at times too. Like they see, like a guy like I'm not trying to debate this or anything, but Kadarius Toney, some people are like, why did they pick him? And other people are like, well, he's kind of like Debo and he gets used in such creative ways and things like that. So I don't know. I think teams, can maybe get cute at times with maybe trying to be overly creative with their draft selections. But
I don't think they got cute on that one. I think that was like when the timer's going down.
That was just an example.
Teams definitely do get cute. But I think Devontae Smith was the pick. And now they got, like the guy can't get on his laptop. The password's not working. The phone's all like bad connection. There's paper. This is the Giants.
What's the Wi-Fi password?
Giants are everywhere. Like the Giants papers are everywhere. I told you to use the laptop. The Microsoft Surface is broken. Like, it's like, we got Kadarius Toney, but he's like we had him going like number 26.5. Whatever. And then, you don't want to be like the Vikings and not put the pick in. And then they took Urban Meyer's pick because, he's a weirdo and he wanted Kadarius. He's like, shucks, Kadarius Toney's taken. Let me draft ETN. My God,
get sniped in a startup, that sort of thing. I think people are liking this. Let's shift to the next award. So this is why we put awards in quotations here, because not every one of them is a good thing. Let's talk about the biggest reach award. A player drafted just way too early. Maybe they could have taken him the next round. Maybe they could have taken a couple other guys in that same position and they kind of reached on this one. We can start with Cooter on this.
I wanted to go first.
You go first.
If she takes mine, I don't have a backup.
Go first. You're not gonna.
I have backups other places.
All right, I'm always third, so if both of mine are gone, I just awkwardly move on. Go ahead.
Well, it's the Raiders, Alex Leatherwood. I mean, they're
like, damn it, that was mine.
No. It
wasn't. Okay, I'm sorry. I jumped you in line, but like if you took that, I'd have no. This camera's just going to be on me. I have nothing to say. This guy could actually be good, but I just find it comical that the Raiders do this all the time, drafting Ruggs and making what I thought was an amazing trade to the Bears and then squandering their picks. I find this all comical. I wish Alex Leatherwood the best. Maybe he winds out. They did need a tackle, but it's comedy though. It's straight comedy. We're as a community, we went like this, in our Discord where we're talking. We're like, so far there hasn't been any dumb picks at pick 16, and the Raiders picked this guy. So just added to the comedy to me.
Oh man.
All right. That was not one of mine. It's not one of Cooter's either. So we're all in the clear right now.
Mine is just because of a homer bias. So the Saints, I don't know a lot about rookies. And then the Saints put in a pick. And the first thing that I see is in the first round, they take Peyton Turner, a defensive end. And everyone's like, oh, he was like a 4th round grade draft pick. And so, of course, all my friends are texting and they're like, why did we get this guy? Why he could have fell. So I don't know what that was about, but just personally, I was affected because why would you pick someone in the first that you could have gotten rounds later?
Yeah, that's getting cute, I think.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
That pick, right? That's a good example, I think, right there.
That's again, I relate these to the startups where you're like, man, I had to get my guy, and your guy, you're getting
like
him in the
3
second round or
rounds
something.
early. Yeah.
I think that's just getting. I mean, just take the best wide receiver off. I don't know. Like, I feel like they could have.
Which is what I'm going to get to right now. Actually,
they could have did anything. I feel like.
I know.
Well, my confusion was with the Chargers. Third round, pick 14 in the third round. Chargers, we want to, give Justin Herbert another good, I like to use the term all the time, another weapon to use in that offense. But they take Josh Palmer from Tennessee. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I grinded all the tape from all these guys, but I did, take enough notes on a lot of these guys. And I look at the list of, De'Ami Brown, Amari Rodgers, Nico Collins, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Teelan Wallace, guys that I actually knew. And I didn't know much about Josh Palmer. Do either of you know much about this guy? Because they took him above all these other wide receivers.
No.
Yeah. So that list of wide receivers, I'm like, man, one of those guys would have been nice with Herbert, and they take Josh Palmer in the third round. So maybe I'm tripping on something here. Bootleg Fantasy has a good one too. Dez Fitzpatrick to the Titans was a reach. I agree on that because there were still a lot of guys on the board, and Dez Fitzpatrick is a guy I knew like nothing about. Another guy I wrote down here, and I'm curious to hear if you guys know anything about this guy. And I'm going to say his name wrong, unfortunately. Kenny Nwangwu to the Vikings, running back. He was taken above guys like Chuba Hubbard and Kenny Gainwell. So they took Kenny Nwangwu, the Vikings. So I think they might have reached for their guy, but have you guys heard of this guy?
Wait, is he a running back or linebacker?
Am I mixing things up here?
No, I'm not asking. I don't.
Oh, no, I wrote him down as a running back here.
I have no idea.
Kenny Nwangwu.
I mean, it just shows how much I know.
That's what I'm saying.
No, it's a legit question. Yeah, I actually don't. I don't know.
Yeah, I actually did a list of like just guys where they were taken by position earlier today, and he was on the running back list off of ESPN. So if I'm saying it wrong, ESPN's wrong.
Look, both your guys that you came up with are very good, but and like they're not that like mine was like an easy answer, And you're a Saints fan, Cooter.
Yeah.
So easy answer for you as well. Like, so that's a little tougher answer, but on the flip side, I will say these guys won't make much of an impact. Like, I mean, Dalvin Cook, Madison, and whatever. I mean, maybe this guy's okay. It's weird. It's a weird pick. And then the wide receiver for the Chargers, definitely a weird pick. But I see this man Justin Herbert play, and he makes the second string tight end look amazing, third string tight end look amazing. Actually won a ton of money when he was throwing to like Guyton or something.
Jalen Guyton.
DFS. Yeah, that was the game where Mike Williams and Keenan were hurt. Like, so this guy, I mean, if you won't want to call him elite, he's borderline elite. He's amazing, makes everyone better. So I'm sure this Palmer guy wind up like almost making the Pro Bowl somehow.
Yeah,
because he's got Herbert.
That's a good point because those rookie quarterbacks, their first year normally don't do that well. So
well, he was great. I mean,
I know.
Herbert's
So I mean,
like
I can only imagine. Yeah, this year.
He was that guy just because of that. He was that guy in like one of my dynasty leagues. It was a free for all for anybody who was left after the startup. I just like picked him up instantly because I'm like, I mean, who knows if Mike Williams is going to be healthy? Your guy Guyton appears and disappears. He's the Houdini of the team, I think. And there's another guy who Tyron Johnson's in that.
Yeah, I was sleepy, and during that DFS contest, I accidentally selected Tyrod Taylor instead of him. And then I was so mad at myself. And then I'm like, oh, God, I think I might win first place still. And then what's funny is Mariota played that game. It makes no sense. I picked the wrong backup quarterback on accident.
Unreal. Now, then your next one after seeing you're almost hitting some money there. You were extra sleepy again somehow. But
oh, no, I was pumped after I won the money. I almost had a heart attack. There you go.
All right. So let's go back to a positive award now. So biggest winner award. So when I'm talking about this award here, it's a player that benefited the most from the draft, but wasn't part of the draft. So it's a current NFL player who benefited the most from the draft. And I'm just gonna throw it up, and whoever wants to grab the ball this time can. All right,
Cooter
there you
can
go.
go first because I feel
Yeah.
I feel bad that I
Oh no,
went
you didn't
long.
do anything. But
Yeah.
I
It
feel like
was
this
my
one.
turn, I think.
I feel
I
like this
can't
one's
keep
like
a
a
two-person
lob.
order.
Yeah,
It's
this one's a
hard.
lob for me. I mean, I think everyone would agree Miles Gaskin. That's who I think it is. I mean, they pretty much didn't go, I think, running back until round 7. So it was just, his spot's there. They set him up with a good wide receiver so that way everybody's not stacking it onto him. Like, I think he won this one.
Yeah, Miles Gaskin. So I feel like he was that guy just like dodging the wrenches. I don't know, dodgeball or something like that. Because there was all these rumors like, what if Aaron Jones, Aaron Jones goes there, or James Conner, or like Leonard Fournette, one of these free agents goes to Miami. They might pick up somebody. Nothing happened, and then they're like, well, the draft. They got a lot of picks. They're going to address somebody. You got Najee, you got Javante, Etienne. You go down the list, you can start naming all these guys. And Gaskin the whole time was just dodging the bullets,
I know.
and now he's buying. I'm not going to say by himself because you have
Yes,
Selvin,
Ahmed.
Ahmed,
Yeah.
and
Well, he's by himself compared to NFL's the standard today. He's he's looking good in terms of a workhorse.
in last season, I got a list: 14.2, 14.5, 20.1, 16.6, 14.1, 33.9, 17.7. He had a lot of good fantasy weeks, and he was doing both. He was running and rushing. So running and catching the ball. So Miles Gaskin definitely avoided some depth chart issues for sure. Fantasy Couch, who's your guy?
So I have a list in case I get sniped. So I got sniped there, but I got another one in the queue. I might snipe. I got 3 names. So my second name, so definitely agree with Gaskin for sure. My second name is Allen Robinson. I think I have another name that's like more obvious, but I mean, come on, emotionally, this man's never had a quarterback. I think dating from college. I mean, this man's never had a QB, and then he gets Andy Dalton, who's okay, but I mean that's depressing as hell. Like you can't get more depressed. I mean, in our community, we call it the couch fan. This guy ended up being a Niner fan for a month because of the Daltons, and then he went back. Of course, I don't blame him. I mean, Justin Fields, come on, stud. But Allen Robinson gets a good quarterback. Like, come on, that storyline. That's it. That's all I gotta say. That's a huge storyline. I feel great for the guy. I'm gonna go tweet him right now. Congratulations, Allen Robinson.
All right, I like that. I like that too. And I had one remaining on here, and I thought maybe it was going to be mentioned too, but. Lamar Jackson, he gets two more guys to throw to. I mean, we can all go back and forth and talk about, do we think he's a quality thrower or not? I like what I saw 2019. He led the league in touchdowns, even if it was from 2 yards out or whatever it was. He still led the league in touchdowns. His MVP season. You have to feel for a guy who, some games the leading target receiver was Willie Snead this past season at times. Dez Bryant, they try to resurrect Dez Bryant to come back and help Lamar Jackson. So adding Rashad Bateman, who's got, size, competitiveness, good hands, and then Teelan Wallace, who, great contested catches. He came off of that injury well, 59 catches for 922 yards this past season in 10 games. Lamar Jackson, a lot of people knock his passing ability, but when we look at that depth chart this past season and the season before, I mean, who was he throwing to? And I think this helps Marquise Brown as well, because now he has maybe some more space on the field that, opens up with Rashad Bateman and Wallace. So I like that Lamar Jackson has guys to throw to, and I think that it's a big season for him to show his passing ability. And I thought that was an easy winner for me.
I had Lamar Jackson actually as number 4. I didn't write him down because I didn't think, there's no way I could get sniped by more than 2 people. It's impossible. Yeah. 3 people on the show. So Lamar Jackson, actually, I just found this out. I don't know if it's pretty sure it's true. Actually, that team led the league in drops, 7.5% drop percentage.
Wow.
Second best wasn't even 7%. And I watched a lot of Ravens games, and Lamar Jackson he does like this weird thing. And then when he throws the ball, like a weird sidearm, and it totally misses. So some fault is on him, but then his team led the league in drop percentage, so it just didn't click. So he's an obvious winner. Like, it just can't go. It went as wrong as possible last year, and it just has to. The passing of the Ravens has to improve a little bit. Huge winner, but I think number 3 was actually very on my list. Was very obvious. It's just the team is not that great, and all their running backs always suck. And that's Mike Davis. He survived, but I think
And
no one
look
has.
at that in the comments.
Right there,
Yeah.
but I don't think anyone's excited about Mike Davis. No one's going to.
If you have him, I have him in a league, and I'm like, damn, that's.
I mean, his mom's probably very excited too.
I mean,
she's probably thrilled.
Slept on fact right there.
I mean, you got Mike Davis, like you got him for free, so that's great. Like you won big time. But I mean, like no one's excited. Like no one's going to. He's going to disappoint somehow. He's a Falcons running back. He's going to disappoint somehow. Like you got him for free. That's great. He's startable. He's a RB2, but it's the Falcons. No one's too excited about it. That's how come he doesn't deserve this award.
You're saving. That's why he was in third on just one person's list here. So that's down the pecking order.
Come on.
We got the comments. Bootleg Fantasy. Hurts got Smith. So Devonta Smith, future center Dickerson, and a pad catching back in Gainwell, and he cannot wait. So Hurts had some. Yeah, that's a good one as well. And RF Fantasy says Ravens had 3 of the top 5 20-plus yard rushers last year. Jackson, Dobbins, Gus the Bus. Fun fact. So now maybe they can supplement that if teams are quote unquote figuring them out. Now they have some pass catchers in that offense too. So that's nice for them.
But that's what I was saying earlier too. Like things can switch so quickly in a year. And so like that comment about Hurts and that whole offense. I mean, they make a few good picks that pan out and they don't bust, and you change an offense real quick, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But what also can change is the negative impacts of the draft. Look at that transition. I'm getting good at this hosting thing. Kind of. Biggest loser of the draft, though. So we're going to flip the switch here. Biggest loser. So this is a current player in the NFL who had the biggest negative impact from the NFL draft. I think it's Couch's turn. Yeah, it's Couch's turn here.
This so obvious. I want to do my less obvious.
All right, do the less
someone's
obvious.
got James Robinson on their list, right?
I didn't put him.
You didn't put Robinson?
Well, I went with someone else, yeah. But I mean, he's definitely a loser for sure. And then
that's a huge one. But I didn't want to talk about it, so I want to talk about the guy.
Man, we got a lot of comments here. People are firing off. One guy's saying Robinson over Etienne. We got Devin Duvernay, Jimmy G, haha.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about the Niners. So, as soon as they drafted Trey Lance, the 49ers drafted Trey Lance, they're posting, social media teams like, let's go. And so they're posting like, imagine Trey Lance on this team. And then it's a picture with Jimmy G, Ayuk, Debo, Kittle, and then Raheem Mostert quote tweets it like, hey, where am I at? And I'm like, just you wait. What happens on day 3, buddy? And then they draft a running back, and then another running back later that falls, and I'm like, oh man, Raheem Mostert. So this is another emotional answer by me, like with Allen Robinson, but also factual, obviously. I mean, Raheem Mostert, like, come on, like that changed really fast for Raheem Mostert.
Yeah, with and a lot of people were trying to say that Jeff Wilson Jr., who, when he was given the opportunity, exploded last year, might be fighting for that job. And then even him now, you got 2 more backs in that system. So this is an award later we might talk about. But, man, the 49ers just kind of hoarding those running backs over there.
Don't draft Niner running backs. Trust me on this. Don't do it.
Just draft them all, and whoever.
Well, in Dynasty, you can break any rule you want. I see it at a value, but in redraft, don't touch them. Don't do it.
All right, Cooter, who is your biggest loser of the NFL draft?
Yeah, so mine it hurts a little bit more because he was one that I was getting in Dynasty startups because I'm like, he's dropping so low and he's going to give me a lot of value. Was Melvin Gordon, and then
that was mine.
Yeah. And I was just like, man, you draft a running back in round 2, and running backs, unlike quarterbacks, can do a lot in their rookie season. So it's like, man, I just don't see that being a good thing for Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, with Melvin, we saw in the past, like, if he's got a supplemental back that is a big pass catcher, maybe it's okay for Melvin Gordon. This past season, 4 weeks of 19-plus touches. He had 26 carries and 4 receptions the last week, regular season game of the season. And now you don't add a pass catching back. You add a compact build. This guy's got patience, good vision. He's labeled as a feature back in Javonte Williams. Some people had him as the RB2 out of this class. few people had him as RB1 or RB3, but he's definitely looked at as a feature back. And I think, man, the Melvin Gordon truthers and people hanging on to that dynasty stock definitely took a hit there.
Well, hold on, Nick, real quick. If anyone from my leagues are listening, haha, we're joking. He's going to be fine. Let's make a few trades and then, all right. Just clip that part. Okay.
Melvin Gordon's
we'll just clip that part.
Yeah, we're going to clip it. Melvin Gordon to the moon. We got this.
Yeah, we're gonna have Cooter make a short video following this podcast and send it to the league mates. It's just gonna be us with different chops of the entire podcast that just builds up to say Melvin Gordon is a buy in this
RB1.
next draft. Yeah, Couch, you the same with Melvin Gordon, or do you have some hope on him?
Yeah. I know Cooter's gonna have to do like this apology video thing or whatever, but I'm not with that. Look, he's dead. Javonte Williams got drafted way too early. And you know what? I was taking Melvin Gordon in best ball because there's this best ball contest, a little bit of overlay, so I'm crazy. I entered it a bunch of times, and I'm like, this guy almost falls around 10-team best ball every time. So I'm like, click. I had to force myself not to take Melvin. I was blinded. I was greedy. We should have known they'd draft a running back. I didn't think it'd be this early and, get one that's like that will just kill Melvin Gordon's value. But that's exactly what they did here.
I mean, he might have like a couple games at service, but like it's not. I was so excited before the draft because I thought he was falling and he was going to be so much better than people thought. And I just want to trade him away.
Sometimes we're wrong.
Yeah.
Hey, the only maybe counter argument would be if the Broncos end up being like not super competitive this year, and they're like, hey, we're gonna Derrick Henry this guy and not give him the touches. We're gonna run Melvin Gordon into the ground while we don't compete. Or they might say, no, we're gonna take the stud that Vic Fangio was fist bumping to.
I don't know if that Derrick Henry thing's ever happened. Ever before, except with Derrick Henry.
I was trying to label it like a common thing there.
Yeah, I'm not. Maybe I'm wrong. It comes to my head. I've never seen anything like that where you have like one of the best running backs ever, and then he's like a scrub for like 3 years. Yeah, and then he's like, hey, he's back, like 2,000 yards. Hello. Like, I was like, what?
And he doesn't even like just casually come back. He comes in, he's just like throwing people around on the field and stuff. And they're like, oh yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy we remember.
Yeah.
All right. So we get into these fantasy drafts. A lot of people are in startups right now. You see it all the time on Twitter. They'll be like 3 rounds into their startup and they're like, how's this team look, guys? It happens pretty often that this time of year people are joining more leagues. So let's look into the late rounds here. Rounds 4 through 7, we'll say. So this is the late round fantasy gold award. So this is going to be awarded to a player drafted somewhere between the 4th and 7th round of the NFL draft that you think will be actually solid for fantasy, either this coming season or for dynasty, however you want to approach it. And again, whoever wants to take that mic first, just go ahead.
I don't think I'm going to be sniping here. I'm going with a tight end. And I let Ray GQ, chirp in my ear because I think he's brilliant. So this is basically, he said it once and I read into it and he's absolutely right. But Hunter Long, the tight end in Miami, I mean, you can get him super late now. So I think he's one, especially in these tight end premium leagues. He's a guy that you can get super late.
All right, Hunter Long. So I think a lot of people had him somewhere between their 3rd to 5th not wide receiver, tight end in this class. In Miami, again, they added a big pass catcher in Waddle, but he's more of the big play kind of guy. So maybe Hunter Long can find some space in this Miami offense here. Couch, any interest in Long, and you can go into your guy too.
Yeah, Hunter Long. I think he's probably worthless this year, but then next year, I mean, he could explode. Like Mike Gesicki might not be on the team much longer. He's kind of I think he's a good player, but he's also disappointing, kind of up and down, a kind of guy that they might be like, okay, he's looking really good. We like him, but it'll probably be like, I didn't really pan out how we thought it. We want to get rid of him. And then that'll, boom, that could really explode right there for Long's value. Actually, had 2 players on this team. I was just trying not to talk about my second guy. I don't know how we're gonna do this. I have to somehow mention both though, but
mention him.
The main guy though, I had to cheat like round 4. He barely made round 4, so he barely meets this criteria that I really like. So I like the talent, I like the spot, I like the opportunity. And I talked to a lot of people because everyone's like, "What's your dynasty rankings?" Like as soon as the draft's not even over, like who do I draft? Yeah, people are asking me who do I take at the 1.06 before the draft ends. So at least I get a feel of what people are thinking. This guy's name never came up. Michael Carter, drafted right in the beginning of round 4.
Literally
he can catch.
Can't see it, but the first guy on my list there, Michael Carter.
It's almost cheating. Like it's such a good, obvious pick, and it just barely meets your criteria of round 4. He's got virtually no competition. People said Tevin Coleman, who's like, that's not competition. So LaMichael Pirine, like it's just not competition. Ty, I don't even remember the other guy's name. Ty, whatever, the other running back there. But Michael Carter, I like the talent. His knock is he's undersized. I disagree with that, but I do respect it though. Like maybe he's not built for workhorse. Maybe he isn't. I was one of the guys who really liked Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So that I could be wrong about that. So size is, I don't know. It's hard to judge. You can look at BMI, weight. Sometimes it's just hard to judge if they're going to be a workhorse in the NFL. I think Michael Carter is not too small. I think he can catch. He's quick. He's fluid. Not much competition. And I'm thinking Zach Wilson might dump it off to him a few times. I love him in PPR, and you could get him at the end of round 1, probably in rookie dynasty. I may be wrong there. That's what I'm thinking so far.
Yeah, I agree with that. With the ADP, I don't have the ADP in front of me, but the ones I've seen recently, Michael Carter is going towards the end. But yeah, I'll let you plug your other guy. But Michael Carter, I think with running backs, we talked about landing spot, but you have to look at competition right away. Some guys loved Hubbard, coming out of the drafts. I mean, some people didn't, some people liked him, but now he's behind McCaffrey, and some people love Kenny Gainwell, but now he's going to be splitting some time or being behind Miles Sanders. But then got a guy like Michael Carter, day one. I mean, why would he not take this job over? Something would have to be wrong on his end, even with Tevin Coleman, even with whoever else in the
Tevin Coleman.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, though. Like, if that's the most you're worried about, then you're pretty confident that Carter's going to get significant touches this year.
Yeah.
Who was your other guy? You had another one, you said.
So I know this is I'm highly contradicting myself, but let me explain. Don't block me on social media yet. Eli Mitchell, Niners running back, round 6. Okay, so this was the Niners' plan. They wanted to draft a running back. They probably wanted to draft one offensive lineman. But you guys know how this draft is so loaded. And they're like, well, I mean, we already had, we got a quarterback. We don't have much needs. The only other need they really have is to improve their pass coverage. And so they're like, let's draft another lineman. And then they see this guy, Eli Mitchell, falling. And I think Eli Mitchell is just as good as any running back that you can rank from 4 to 10. He's really good. He's a super sleeper. And they went and they're like, well, since this guy's falling, I'll take him. And I'd be okay with drafting this guy in Dynasty purely because of value, purely because everyone, I assume Mostert's going to go before him. Jeff Wilson, I don't know. Dynasty starts to get weird, but definitely Trey Sermon's going to go probably end of round 1. I don't know. He's already on a lot of people's top 4, top 5 running back rookies. So he's going way early. So why not just get the one that's free? Why not get, you're paying Mike Davis price here, and you might get a Mike Davis out of this guy. Why not? All our running backs get hurt anyways. This guy's probably going to see he's probably going to get opportunity if it's not this year, next year.
Yeah, a lot of people were trying to draw the James Robinson comparison to Elijah Mitchell, the guy that's going to go super late or maybe not at all and might have some value. So that's definitely interesting. What are your guys' thoughts? I wrote down this guy because I looked at wide receiver. A lot of the times we look at what's the outlook for some volume here, for some targets. Who they competing with, and Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 4th round. to the Lions. So the Lions don't have a ton of guys catching the ball. I mean, they have TJ Hawkinson, who's their tight end, obviously. But then you got Brashad Perryman and Quintez Cephas and Tyrell Williams. So I thought Amon-Ra St. Brown, being a traditional target slot guy, might walk into some volume right away. So he might be a guy that you get maybe in the second to third round of your rookie drafts that might step in right away and get looks. So he was a guy I wrote down.
I like that one. And I have a weird list of the most cursed NFL teams. So Lions sit atop number 1 on this list.
What's
going to probably happen is someone's going to get hurt or someone's going to retire. Something weird's going to happen with this Tyrell Williams. You know, I like Quintez Cephas, like, you know, and then you got Perryman, which is like, I think everyone's already like, you can pretty much say something bad's going to happen there. Like, he's not going to be off the team soon. So this guy's going to get his chance. Okay. So this great dynasty pick, I'm sure you can get him late. Like, I love it. And then, but then when he, you know, as soon as he's good, you might want to sell him because, you know, he's on the Lions. So
some bad might happen. Him like Cup. That's the question. Will Goff target him like Cup? Well, it's up for grabs right there with the new quarterback as well. The other guy I wrote down, I liked him before, and I guess he had a terrible pro day and he fell super far in the draft. Any thoughts on Brevin Jordan? I actually like the landing spot because I don't think that there's like this clear-cut target tight end. I think they've had guys that find the end zone for the Texans. I know the quarterback situation is murky and we don't want to dive too deep into that right now, but Brevin Jordan was a guy that I thought was the tight end 2 in this class, and he dropped very, very far. And I don't know, maybe somebody in the comments will pop up again, but I don't know why he dropped so far. But the 5th round he went into the Texans, which really need players to catch the ball.
Man, I strongly disagree with most of what you said, man. I think Brevin Jordan is a great steal talent. Like, it's great. But when you look, you got to look at the big picture. And like we're talking about the Lions, like no one's going to argue with me that the Lions are a great franchise. They're not cursed for 100 years. You know, if you don't believe in curses, just use another word. They handle situations bad luck, and everything, like everything. Texans, I mean, they smell like manure right now. It's disgusting. Okay, so his landing spot's not like with organizations like this. Like, you just have to be very careful because some organizations screw everything up. That's why I was afraid of Swift. He might make it through. He might be okay. I'm always afraid of the Chargers and whatnot. Maybe Herbert's changing stuff. I'm always afraid of Washington. But I've been preaching this for years before Trent Williams left, you know, all this stuff. And so you just got to be careful. And right now, I mean, I think the Texans in a couple of years, they might move up my curse list. I mean,
where are they at right now for these rankings?
I don't know. It's like it's an incomplete grade because they weren't top 3.
It's a rough draft.
So we gotta wait. I think we gotta wait a year or two, and I think they might be moving up. They drafted Carr's brother, right? I mean, it's looking bad. It's looking like they might go to number 2 on my curse list.
Number two. All right. So the Texans Fantasy Couch curse list number 2 right now, but again, this might be a rough draft. There we go. Injuries were a concern with Jordan and could have had something pop up on medical day. See, this is what the guys in the comments should just like be jumping in the podcast saying, wait, this is the reason. That's the second time. All right. So let's get to one last award before we close everything up. We usually shoot for an hour here. We talked about some hoarders, Fantasy Couch. We talked about the 49ers taking some running backs. Did you guys just want to throw in a quick one before we go to our last award for somebody who might have hoarded some guys? I said, and it's not a fantasy position unless you play IDP, the Raiders took 3 safeties, 21. I wrote down 21 safeties were drafted, and the Raiders took 3 of them. So I said, hey, they were hoarding some safeties. Did you guys have anybody you want to plug real quick before we get into our last award here?
Mine was facetious, just the fact that the Saints drafted a quarterback when we already have 2 that we don't know who, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Raiders again, and you know, nice comedy show going on here. These safeties might pan. I mean, I love the first safety they took, but it's like The
Moorig
most valuable positions, Trevor Moorig or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Moorig,
most valuable positions to having success as a team, quarterback, obviously. Then I don't know what comes. Cornerbacks are important. Pass rushes are important. So on. So, the trenches. Least valuables, probably running back and safety. What do the Raiders got? They got running backs and safeties, baby. Let's go get some more. That's the thing. Like, I'm not saying like I'm right. Like, I have a stance. But I'm saying it's comical, and I'm going to laugh at them. Like, I love this comedy show. Mike Mayock, worst GM? I don't know. I mean, statistically, yes, it's been written about. I don't know. I'm gonna laugh at it. But the Bills, I love the show Hoarders, by the way, and so this is great. The Bills definitely hoarders, and they didn't have much needs. Kind of similar to my 49ers, didn't have much needs, and just like kept taking shots at offensive line. And if it's not bad though. Some hoarding is good. Some hoarding can make you a lot of money. Most of the time, hoarding is bad, like the Raiders.
Yeah. I mean, if it comes to guys protecting the quarterback and you take 5 and 2 pan out and 2 out of 5 work, then it's probably worth it at that point. But like you said, importance to a team, I think them hoarding the linemen like that might be a little bit better than the safety position. All right. So last one on this list here before we close it up. It's the Did You Draft Award. So this award is going to go to a team that really needed a particular position, and they didn't draft that position. And we'll go Cooter and then down to Couch. Who do you give this award to? The Did You Draft Award?
Well, I mean, I was very clear that I don't know a lot about rookies. I don't know a ton about team need. But so I'm going to go with just what I do know, which is the Saints. And everything they did was confusing. They even came out, Mickey Loomis was on a podcast, I think today or yesterday, basically saying they tried to trade up in the first round, they tried to trade up in the second round, and none of it worked out. So they just had to go with what was the best available. So to me, that screams that they missed on what they were trying to get because they didn't, I guess, have capital to trade in or to trade up. So for me personally, that's my answer. And it's mainly just because I'm a homer and I heard that today, but I feel like they missed with whatever they were trying to get. They couldn't get it.
And that's fine because I think all three of us have been talking about our teams a lot, but it's easy to see with your team, like, hey, like we needed this and we did that sort of thing. So Fantasy Couch, who do you have for this? The Did You Draft Award? Before
Cooter answered, she already convinced me that it's the Saints. So I think it's a better answer than what I got written down. It's very, very puzzling. Yeah, it is a very head-scratching draft overall, like from day 1, day 2, and it just kept going. So, and I have Jameis Winston in a dynasty league. I drafted him in best ball, and I'm like, what? So... yeah, that's a bad one. Also, another conspiracy I have is that people don't want to talk to the Raiders when they're on the phone. And I think this conspiracy might hold, like, my guys, John Lynch, Shanahan on the phone. They're like, I love you, man. All right, what are we going to do? You want Trubisky? All right. We'll get a good package for you, buddy. We got you. Everyone loves talking to John Lynch, I think. But when the Raiders call, they're like, oh, crap, I can't hear you. And so, I don't know. Maybe the Saints are weird. What you said. Maybe the Saints are ranked number 2 on the, what's it called? Call screen. And maybe they're screening calls like, oh, God, it's that weird Saints GM. He's gonna lowball us again. So I mean that makes total sense that they couldn't get, like, that's why they drafted weird is because they couldn't make trades. But that goes back to being a human. You got to have good communication skills. You got to be a guy people like. Everyone likes Shanahan and John Lynch. I mean, that's just what I think. I mean, they made all those trades. Someone picked up the phone and someone negotiated, and the Niners always got it. So my pick's the Colts. I like the team. I'm not. They didn't have a bad draft or anything, but they needed offensive tackle, and they just kept acting a little bit weird and kept hitting the defense, which is not bad. Again, not bad, but definitely like goes with your category that you gave us here.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a team that we probably already looked at as having a pretty solid defense. Maybe they needed some upgrades, but maybe not the upgrade the team needed, like you're kind of saying here. With the team I thought about here, they kind of reminded me of, which is fine with me, they kind of reminded me of the Packers, not this draft, the draft before, where they like really needed a wide receiver and they like didn't take one or they took one late. And I'm not going to say their draft was bad overall, but the Tennessee Titans, they have 157 vacated targets between Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith up for grabs in the system right now. We know AJ Brown will probably take, I don't know, 140 of them or something like that. Just high, throwing a number out there, way too high. But they didn't address the pass catchers. I mean, they drafted Des Fitzpatrick, who was talked about in the comments that I really don't know anything about, but there's a lot of good wide receiver talent in this draft class, and a team that competes every year and gets to the playoffs. They got Corey Davis gone out of the system, Jonnu Smith, Anthony Ferkser, maybe he's like this tight end sleeper a lot of people have been bringing up, but they didn't add a pass catcher in a draft that actually had a lot of pass catchers. So the Titans were the team I thought about for that.
Yeah, I think if the Patriots play them, I think they triple team AJ Brown. They give him the Travis Kelce treatment, and then I think they win.
I mean, who else is catching? Who else is there? Josh Reynolds. Josh Reynolds is there. So
Yeah,
I guess maybe he
it's
has some elevated value. Maybe nobody to compete with, really.
It's tough. Like, I love everyone loves AJ Brown. I love him too, but I'm kind of like, maybe we need a little something to take away all this heat from him. Is you have like, why would you not double? I know double teaming is like a saying that you can't always apply to every single play and it works, but it's like, I mean, he's going to get a lot of attention. He's not going to be open a lot of times. He's going to be crowded. So I don't know. I think it's going to be an issue. Maybe he's great, but it shows up with inconsistency maybe when teams do decide to triple team him.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was surprised they didn't address that at all. I actually thought that one of the better guys was going to go to the Tennessee Titans and have this 1-2 punch of A.J. Brown and, I don't know, Rashad Bateman or one of these other guys that they probably could have went for in the draft here. But yeah, so we had a long list of awards. Maybe they'll get posted somewhere with all our answers and put on a plaque on someone's fridge or something like that. But thank you guys so much for being part of this award show. It's the first ever P2W Fantasy Draft Award Show. Maybe it'll have to be a yearly thing or something like that. But I do want to make sure we close out the podcast. And if somebody tuned in late or they're listening right now, want to make sure that they know where to find both of you guys and anything you guys want to plug before we close the podcast. And we'll go with Fantasy Couch. If you want to just plug again where we can find you for people maybe listening on iTunes or something like that.
Fantasy Couch on everything, YouTube, and now even TikTok, everything else, Twitter, Instagram. Just hit me up. Give me a try. You probably won't be disappointed.
There you go. Probably not. And Cooter Doodle, where can we find you and anything else you want to plug to end the podcast?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube. Like I said, we have some fun big names coming for the Petite Pods. And then if you want the charity league, follow or go to Weenus, like your elbow, weenustogether.com, and you can find out everything there.
Awesome. Thank you guys a ton for being on the podcast. I was very excited about this one. You can catch us live or me live, P2W Fantasy on Thursday. Have a new podcast every Thursday with Steffi Smalls, so pretty excited about that. 7 p.m. Central, so you can catch me then. And again, if you guys listened on iTunes or live here or on YouTube, anything like that, thank you guys so much. And be sure to follow these two if you are not already. Have a good night, everybody.